Alright, what's going on, guys? So me and Quinn are finally here. We're doing the Q&A that we said we were going to do, what, 6 years ago? What was it?
Roughly.
Yeah, we said we were going to do it like a few weeks ago. We've both been really busy, so we haven't gotten around to it, but we're going to do it right now. So what we're going to do is just pull out the post, and we're going to get the questions up, and we'll start right now. So Quinn's going to pick the first question. We're both going to start out with our first comment, and then after that, we're just going to scroll, and then boom, pick at random. Go.
So the first comment at the top?
Yeah.
It's how to get a big chest, or how to get a chest.
Yeah, you can start.
That's a pretty simple question. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time building muscle groups in general, but if you train a muscle group frequently, consistently, and always achieve progressive overload in that muscle group, the muscle will grow. Obviously, there's going to be some factors that could come into it, hinder muscle growth, but for the most part, if you train it consistently, it will grow.
Yeah, I mean, that's all true. I mean, my advice on building, a bigger chest, like a lot of people who are going to ask, like, oh, how do I build a bigger chest? How do I build bigger arms? Whatever the case, are usually people who are just starting in working out, or like they've been lifting for what, a year, or like maybe, a year, like, so they're kind of newer. So you're going to have stronger body parts, like right off the bat, and you're going to have lagging body parts. But honestly, my recommendation would be to just start on a proper workout regimen, so you're hitting everything pretty equally from the beginning, so that you don't have anything lagging really badly. But to bring up a specific muscle group, just make sure you're training that muscle group at least
three times a week.
Well, no, honestly, I would say twice a week, but at least twice. So like, if you have a really lagging chest, but your arms, everything else is bigger, what I'd recommend doing is maybe on your back day, throw in a few chest exercises, that type of thing. But don't train a full chest day more than twice a week. I wouldn't recommend that.
It's going to take time to build a muscle group up. So if you are beginning, don't worry about if it's slow progress. It's going to be slow progress.
Second question.
You can't pick it. Stop picking it. No, you can't pick it. Your finger has to stop where it is. That's not all right. That's I guess how that works. All right.
All right. Do you recommend shocking the muscle? I don't recommend not achieving progressive overload and not training properly. So no, shocking the muscle, like that's a big misconception. Like that.
What is that, like varying lifting movements?
Basically,
like
the theory behind shocking the muscle is basically to train. Like a different exercise every time you go in the gym, or always. Like, so let's just say you start on bench on one day, then the next day you start out on some completely other movement for chest. The best thing that you can do is achieve progressive overload on your lifts. So go on a specific regimen and get really strong at those movements for a few months. And then after 5-6 months on the same program, taking deloads, then you're going to want to switch your program. But definitely don't keep doing different exercises every single day for the same muscle group, because you're not going to achieve progressive overload, which is exactly what you want to do for building muscle mass.
All right, I'll go. All right, I stopped on a question. I don't know what it is. Should teenagers lift for strength or size? When you're starting out, what we've learned through our experiences, and multiple people follow this same strategy, is if you get stronger, you're going to enable yourself to have more potential in the future to get bigger. Now, the stronger you are, the more weight you can lift. The more weight you can lift at a higher volume, the bigger you'll be. So most people want to get big as quick as possible, and strength training will get you bigger. Trust me, it will. You're getting hypertrophy out of it if you're training after your main compound movements. But if you get stronger at these three compounds, squat, bench, and deadlift, it's going to translate over into your overall strength in a bunch of accessories, and you will build size from that. So being strong is really important to be big. Obviously, there's
if
variables.
You're natural, especially.
I was going to get to that. There's variables with if you're natural or not, and that can play a role. But if you are stronger, you will get bigger.
Yeah. So like, if you're natural, which we're assuming the person asking this question is, the best way to get bigger is to actually get stronger. And we're not saying to not train your hypertrophy, because you always want to train your hypertrophy where, like, your more sets, your more reps or whatever after you do your heavier compound lifts. But you want to make sure that you're getting those heavy compounds in the beginning, so you train for strength, which in return is going to help you gain muscle mass. And then after that, you can get your pump, but you want to make sure you're getting your strength training in, because if you're natural, that's how you're going to grow.
I already scrolled through and found my question before he answered. Where was it? How long should I run the Blaha 5x5?
Ooh, I like that.
That's probably going to be, that actually has been a really frequent question because that's the primary program we've all kind of pushed for beginners to run. The program basically just goes over improving your strength for beginners, and there's really no set time limit you should be running it because you can run it for a year, 2 years.
Well, you can run it for really as long. I mean, honestly, what I would recommend for doing the Blaha is basically once you can bench 225, squat 315, and deadlift 405. That's right around when you're going to want to get into a more advanced program. Now, you could have a really lagging deadlift, only deadlift 385, but your other numbers are up there. I mean, when you're around there, around the 400 deadlift, around 300 on the squat, around low 200s on the bench, that's when you're going to want to get into a program with more volume because you're getting into the intermediate stage of lifting and you're going to need more volume to optimally grow and get stronger.
Yeah, these numbers aren't crazy strict. They're just kind of guidelines or like
basically
rough
it's
set
like
points
exactly.
where you want to be at so you can always make the best progress for every program you continue to use. Because some programs obviously are written for intermediate or advanced people, so it takes time.
Okay, so the next question is how do you get your traps so massive? And I kind of want to I want to talk about a lot of people ask specific people, like Qwin will get all the time, how do you get your delts so big or how do I get my traps so big, whatever the case is. So people are pretty much going to have dominant body parts. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Like, you're probably training your traps properly, but you're just not going to have traps the size of mine. Just like I'm not going to have delts as big as Qwin's. It's just how it is because certain insertions, like my how you get your traps big is you have insertions that go really high up to your ear. And that's, I mean, yes, I will get into how you get your traps bigger, but like I'm just trying to point out that everyone's going to have dominant muscle groups, and it doesn't mean that they do anything differently. It's just that the insertion, whatever the case is, the insertion.
They can play a role in how big a muscle may look. You may have a lot of muscle mass there, but if it's a short insertion, it may not look as prominent.
And also, like, for example, some people might have one lagging body part, which might make another one bigger because that other one, or have a short and tightened up body part, so it's going to make all the workload on another muscle, which is going to make that bigger. So honestly, if you're training properly and you're running a proper regimen, proper program, doing your barbell shrugs, which is what I recommend, you can do dumbbell shrugs, machine shrugs, lots of sets, heavyweight, lightweight, everything. Just make sure you're hitting your traps twice a week and they're going to grow optimally.
So I have like a multiple question. I guess they kind of all go hand in hand, but the person was asking, how long have we been lifting?
I mean you.
Yeah. How were your gains? Like, on the side here and there.
I'm in control.
Okay. How long have we been lifting? How were the gains for the first year, your new gains? And how long do you guys recommend to bulk before doing a mini cut? I'm going to address one by one. How long have we been lifting? When did you first touch a weight?
Well, I mean, I started lifting the end of my freshman year. I went to the gym a total 4 times from 8th grade to the end of my freshman year. But I started actually lifting the end of my freshman year, and I just graduated this summer, so it's been roughly 3 years.
I first touched a weight when I was a freshman. I started playing freshman football, and my only weightlifting was what I followed for the football regimen. So it would only be a 3-month, 4-month period of lifting from the summer all the way to the beginning of the season in September, and I did that for 3 years up until my junior senior year.
When did you start actually lifting consistently, basically? Because
after senior football.
No, I mean you had a gym membership junior year.
Yeah, but it wasn't consistent.
But I mean you were you would go a few times a week, whatever the case. So pretty much.
I would take months off and things like that. It was very inconsistent up until my senior year. Junior year I had a membership and I was training in the off season up until the winter. I just wasn't that consistent with it. But right after my senior year, I really started involving myself in training a lot more. So if you would have to add up all the years or all the months I've been training, it's most likely right around 4 or 5.
Yeah. And then what was like the next part of the question?
How were the gains in the first year? Honestly, pretty awesome. I had like the heaviest bench, squat, and power clean for the freshman class within like my weight besides like all the linemen. And I went from benching like I think 85, 90 pounds to right around like 205 my freshman year. Yeah. I think my squat was like 325, 330, right around there. And
what? Fuck you, bitch. 330?
Yeah.
My shit was like...
fucking big legs.
Wait, what year was it?
My freshman.
Fucking shit, dude. Yeah, my freshman year, I was squatting like 150.
I was 150. I was 160 freshman year, and it was literally all my legs.
Yeah.
Like that, I had like very strong legs at the time.
So basically, you got really good progress in the first year lifting. My progress in the first year lifting was, I mean, absolutely incredible. So basically... long story short, I started lifting right after wrestling season, which is the end of my freshman year. I wrestled 132. I weighed around 132, 134. I started lifting, and literally within 4 to 6 months, I was about 150. And I mean, I had a little bit more body fat, but honestly, it was a lot of lean gains. I gained a lot of muscle. My bench went from 135 at the end of wrestling to literally 205 in, what was it, not long.
Probably like a 4-month period.
It was around a 4 or 5 month period. And then, I mean, after like the 6 month mark, I got 225. So it was like, I just got really, really good progress because I so happened to just be eating a lot of food and training really heavy on the bench all the time. My squat was like 275. My legs were, I mean, they were lagging compared to my upper body, but it wasn't like terrible. I could squat like around 275.
That's still respectable for
a
freshman, 15, 16.
And then, so probably the first year, my bench went from 135 to 245, honestly, probably in the first year of me lifting. And then my squat went to probably a good 350. My deadlift, I never really deadlifted at that time. But I gained in the first year, I'll say 132. I gained roughly 30 pounds, 90 pounds on my bench, and around 75 to 90 pounds.
And take into consideration that this is sports training, so this is all strength training. Yeah. We were being trained for strength, for like football, wrestling. Yeah. These are all very dependent on how strong you are. So we didn't even know we were training the right way in the beginning. Obviously, programs can be worked, and we could have been training a little more optimal, and we could have been more consistent. But we did have a strength base to start with, and that's to thank from sports in high school. So again...
and that's honestly what got both of us into it, being so competitive with it, because, I mean, I know back then when I first started lifting, a huge motivating factor for me was like seeing guys like, because Qwin was 2 years above me, like seeing guys like Qwin, just guys that were way bigger than me in the gym. I felt like a little kid. I was like, shit, like I want to have that. And so I mean, and then obviously for him growing up, there was guys way bigger than him. And
yeah,
like,
you always looked up to those upperclassmen.
Yeah, so you looked up to them. You see, oh shit, like they're hitting 225 on the bench, like, and it just seemed like a dream. You know what I mean? Like big arms, everything like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh wow, like I wanted that because I was always a skinny kid, and I mean that was a big motivating factor for me in the beginning, to be honest. But
so the next part of it is, how long do you recommend bulking before a cut? That's all personal preference, but in our humbled opinions, you should get as big as possible, as strong as possible. Don't worry about being lean, being shredded until you actually have the muscle mass to give up a little bit.
I mean, okay, if you're a lean person, I would not recommend, and you just started lifting, right? If you just started lifting, you're a pretty lean person, you're 12-14% body fat, you shouldn't cut for at least a year and a half, if that's the case for you. You need to be in a surplus, getting bigger, getting stronger, then you can cut down to like 10%, you know what I mean, and see like your progress, you a little bit leaner. But I wouldn't recommend getting absolutely shredded by that time period anyways. And I mean, pretty much, yeah, just bulk as long as you can. I mean, if you're beginning lifting, there's really you don't have enough muscle mass to cut, so there's no reason to cut. I would just recommend being in a surplus and then cutting down slightly and then going back up on bulk. Don't go on a full out.
Yeah, your future self would really thank you if you don't cut too early, because you're missing out on months and months of training and strength progress and muscle development. So you don't want to give that up. Obviously, if you are very, very overweight, and I'm not saying like just like me, you can't really see your abs.
Like if you're over 25% body fat.
And if you have a hard time determining that, like
if you're overweight, then you need to start out on a deficit, because you need to lose that weight. Yeah. Then from that base, then you can come back up with muscle. Yes. But you don't want to be in a surplus if you're already that overweight, because it's gonna be a bitch to have to drop it. Yeah. So you might as well drop it, and then once you're down 15%, then slowly get yourself back up.
Yeah, you're still gonna make strength. Yeah, you're still gonna make strength progress, and you're gonna build muscle, because you are still a newbie beginner. Yeah. So no matter what, you're gonna build muscle.
You're gonna build muscle.
So that's probably your best option.
So this question says, what are your macros? My macros really shouldn't concern anybody else, and I only say that because my specific macros are something that are specific to me, in my height, my weight, how much muscle I have, how my metabolism works. I mean, you should never ask someone what their macros are and then do what they're doing.
Don't concern yourself with other people's.
You should never like try to have somebody else's macros to like look like them or whatever, because that's not what's going to happen. Let's just say you have someone 130 pounds and they're trying to lose weight, and then you have me at 180, 182 pounds right now trying to lose weight. I have a lot more muscle mass. They're going to need to eat 1,500 calories per se, roughly. I'm going to need to eat 2,600 so that I can still maintain my muscle mass, but I'll still be losing weight because I have more muscle mass, which is going to aid in fat loss, because the more muscle mass that you have,
speeds up your metabolic rate.
It speeds up your metabolic rate, which the quicker you can burn fat. Yeah, don't ask people what their macros are and try to emulate that, because it's not going to go well for you.
Yeah, everyone's different. Everyone has different levels of where they're at in their training and their fitness, so it's all dependent on yourself. And that's like, you could reflect on that, like only really worry about yourself. Like it's good to have
so don't fucking worry about my macros, bro.
It's good to have motivation and people to give you motivation and people to look up to. But when it comes down to improving, you have to worry about yourself. But if you ever want to ask questions and why we track our macros the way we do, there's obviously
that's
reasons
the next
for
Q&A.
Yeah. Can you make a Spotify workout playlist? Honestly, I was thinking about doing that because there's a ton of songs on Spotify that I always listen to and I really like. And there's like certain days where I want to have like a really, really high intensity workout. Certain days I want to have a more relaxed, consistent workout. Some days, like, I need some pickups. If I'm going to hit, like, a heavy deadlift, I want some good music. So that's not a bad idea. Definitely going to take advantage of that soon. What's your favorite vape flavor?
Go.
Cinnamon. I like cinnamon.
So this question right here that we're about to answer, we're going to pick a good one because it's our last one. This is the final question we're gonna answer, and then we gotta we gotta go make some gains. We gotta go eat. Question is by Mackenzie Harris 2, and it says, there are so many young fitness YouTubers out there today. Some are much bigger than David Lade, but few have the subscriber growth and likes that he does. What do you think David's secret to YouTube success is? Okay, well, I'll start out by just saying, like, a lot of fitness YouTube, fitness career success, actually, there's different routes you can go in being successful in this industry, but a lot of guys, it has nothing to do with your size necessarily.
Or even physique sometimes.
Or even physique, yeah. So, like, for example, Dave has a really, really good bone structure, really good physique. Like, you know what I mean? He's wide shoulders, skinny waist. Yeah. But the thing with Dave is that he's very relatable. A lot of guys want to look like that. His amount of mass, it's attainable naturally. Yeah. And the thing is, he started out very, very skinny, and he made his transformation. He has incredible editing skills. He put the right music in. He did everything right with his transformation. So what happened was people love that story. They love like someone going from like really, really skinny to getting bigger, and like that really inspires people. So he has 15 million views on his transformation video and like what, 4 or 5 million on the other. Yeah. And that really jump started him into the industry. What kept him there was having really good content, having like, you guys see drone footage, really good editing.
He's always been progressively getting better.
Good color grading. He's better with the camera, because it is hard to, you know what I mean, talk to a camera.
It is.
It looks natural for him. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but basically the fact that he's always been progressing his videos, making sure that
They're always
his
better
edits
than
are
the next.
perfect. His whatever, you know what I mean. Edits
Clips,
are perfect.
everything.
Yeah, like everything's interesting. I mean,
Yeah, and just his personality. His personality is very appealing. We're both
Dave's
friends
a prick.
with him.
We're not friends.
We're both we mildly enjoy his company, and he's a cool guy to be around. So
he's one of our best friends, and
and it's understandable that people really like talking to him and or watching his videos and stuff because we like hanging out with him too.
Yeah, it's
understandable.
It's really not about like we were saying in the beginning. It's really not about there's a bunch of guys that are way bigger than me, Dave, or Qwin. But the thing is, they might not have the personality. They might not have
the look.
They might not have anything. They might be like a lot like just a big juice head or something like that. Like no one wants to follow that. They might have no personality.
Not no one, but like some people.
The 2,000 followers that they have.
It's not the most mainstream look that you could have. And
people want a look that's like
different,
that girls
unique,
like
and
that the average person wouldn't look like. You know,
aesthetic,
like an attainable aesthetic look. Yeah.
Like what is it? Physical or aesthetic? Like I can't pull up the word right now. Like appealing.
Yeah.
I can't pull up the word. Whatever.
So basically, a big reason why Dave was successful was transformation video, personality, good content, and honestly just being smart. Yeah, being smart and being consistent, knowing when to post, how to post, looking into other YouTubers, what they're doing, how they're successful, just doing everything right.
And a good physique.
An average physique, and he obviously, he's got a great physique. He has a very aesthetic physique, and that appeals to the average person. The average person would love to have that physique. Yeah. He's tall, handsome young lad.
Handsome, very handsome.
All right, guys. So that was it. That was the last question we're gonna answer. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace out, boys and girls and ladies and women.
Don't forget the ladies.
Never forget the ladies.
You got this. Is it focused on me? Is it focused? Oh.